How many grinders does one mine need? As many as he needs. Oops. There you go. So that's a hole that I've just cut. I'm going to use thicker, more traditional steel from my sample, as in my donor. That's the piece that I'm going to make now. It needs to be curved, and that's the piece that it replaces. As you can see, not exactly a very good piece. So, time to attack my donor pieces. Get you seasick while we walk about and grind out some metal. Hopefully this will work. I'm going to make a little table just over there, and we'll see where we get with that. I was going to use the bonnet, and I might still use it, but for the back section, which is a very shallow curve, this should work. I'm going to rough cut straight out of this panel once I've measured it or laid it down. Let me double check. Always double check. So there's a curve here that I need to create or find. And that curve is naturally in there already. So I think the answer is cutting it out of here. Let's just double check. Let's see. Single skin folded. So we've got the outside skin folded, and actually looks like it's definitely double skinned. But try and figure out exactly. Right, that's a pressing, and then there's definitely a second skin. So I'm going to have to cut a little bit deeper in to miss all of the, so I can miss all of this extra sandwiching that you've got to form the seams and the strength in this thing. It's a little bit random just to start anyway, but that's the curve that I want. So we may as well start by drawing a line around the edge of it. I had to extend this side a little bit with a bit of masking tape, because when I cut it ever so slightly short. And what I'll do is I'll cut on the inside of my marking, because this is an exact fit. Saying that, I should cut it on the line, because once the curve comes in, it absorbs a little bit of the flat surface. So let's go for it and see what we get. Grinder on to the ready, is it? There you go. We have a nice fresh blade. Cut in with my cords. Get a sharp tool. I've had this kitchen knife for years. It moves around the garden, moves up and down the yard. One of the nicest tools, because you can do all sorts of clever stuff with it. Alright, so you've got double skin. That's the chunk we've got. That's the curve we needed. If you look at the steel, it is really thick. It's thicker than what's in there, I think, or possibly the same thickness. I'm not sure. But we'll see in a moment whether we've got the right piece. Stand by. So this is what we've got. You got the curve, which is brilliant, and then that fit, I just need to round off that bottom line. Once I start welding, this will be good. Hello, Luke. Say hello to the camera. Oh, you got our priorities right. Luke's my neighbour. He's come to inspect. So yeah,
looking good.
I think that's very good. I'm happy with that. So from cutting a hole in a perfectly good, headed for the scrapyard tailpiece, which I'd visualized even before I went and fetched it, 20 miles from here or 30 miles from here. That piece, strange as it may sound, has exactly the right curve to fit in there. Look at that. Natural curves straight from the factory in the 50s. And then I need to shape down the bottom a little bit. That bottom tip needs to be reduced by about 1/4 of an inch. Just a little wedge taken out of it. Then weld the whole lot back together. The reason I did that bottom right hand patch this morning was, or this afternoon when I voted it, was because I thought that's going to make an odd shaped patch, because the rest of that metal is really solid. It's just what I've cut out now, which started looking like that. Obviously most of this was gone, and I'd cut, there's more of it that I've cut out. But you look at the thickness of the steel from the factory, it's not your regular body panel steel thickness. But this, from the 50s, when you look at them next to each other, they are pretty much the same. So, quite chuffed that I got the right steel. Quickly clean this off at the back as well. I might even put some, saying that I'm not going to do rust proofing on that section, I might. Because where it is, where those pieces of wood are there as flash breakers, you can get in there and actually put under seal and rust proofing and all sorts of stuff in once you've finished welding it all up. So I think that's the answer for now. Clean this piece up and then start tacking it in. I might just do this before I finish tonight, because it's just after 5 now. Slow progress, but it's progress. Day 2. Start with this. It's a bit of a mess. Look at this. It's all the grinding and messing. But next job, get this little bugger welded in. That'll be good. Hopefully I won't set the place alight. I started banging on that yesterday, but I shouldn't have, because that one's even worse. It's really, really bad. But we'll get to it. I started with the other one because I thought that was worse, but this one's actually just gone a lot worse. But we'll figure it out, make it up as we go along. So yeah, pull the tools together and get going. What can I say? Sometimes thinking things through helps. So this thing's got all sorts of weird curves to it. I had to add in where it was rusted away. That was curved that way. I've managed to turn the curve around and put that curve in there that you need, basically there, almost duplicate. That'll get straightened out. This side's almost right as well, so it'll get a slight curve around to go toward the actual tower. But then that curves up again. It's got a curve this way, so you've got basically curves on all the planes. But I'm pleased. That's literally 5 minutes. The thing with these things is some of them take forever, and sometimes you get lucky. What I used was this little guy to give me the lowered support. So just basically tapping through and shaping. And I used this hammer. There's two of them, but I used this one because it's slightly more aggressive, more heavy, to drop that section and stretch it. But yeah, pleased as hell. I don't know where this shit comes from. It all comes out of my head, but I mean, I have no idea where or who. But clearly the gods are looking after me because I'm ready to set this thing alight. Not really, but you know, sometimes it's a struggle. But yeah, I'm pleased as hell for the way this has come out. Next step, see if it can make it fit, and then weld it all together. First, got to take all this shit paint off. This stuff stinks. This is all brush. You can see it's old brush paint. So these things were, that might have been sprayed on, but that's brush. So yeah, you can see the sanding down on the metal. 60, 70 years ago. So we've got to see if we can fit this thing in next. Right, I've done an inner and an outer here. It took a bit of time because it's really awkward and I am not moving or removing the whole canopy just to get to that rust, so I had to really carefully stitch. Just a lot of stitching has gone in there. The inner section was easier actually. Next would be now to curve that section there on from end to end, to either do one single curve and then add another triangular section down the bottom. But of course, typically I'll try and do the whole lot in one. See if I can get a piece of metal cut out of this trunk lid and then start shaping it with a hammer and a dolly and a couple of bits. It might reward me with a simple outcome. If not, I'll do it in 2 parts, but I'm going to try and do 1 piece. We'll see. So sometimes we have maintenance to do indoors in the house. My welding goggles, auto dimming, super spectacular. These are made by Miller. Those of you that know about Miller will know about Miller. It also comes with this mask, so you can protect part of your face at least. And when I had the beard, it stopped me from letting or setting myself alight to some extent. So I've just got a couple of batteries to fit because the auto dimming has stopped being auto dimming. So quickly remove this cover. Wants to be unscrewed some more. Never enough screwing around in this house. There you go. Right, now I've got to figure out how to do this. Same. CR2032. CR2032. Now, how do you open this thing? I'm going to take a wild guess and say, pull this aside. Do they come out? Does this whole thing come out? That'll be interesting. I don't want to break it. Oh shit. Don't want to break it. Right, so those have popped out. Now we can take these out of their packaging. Of course, the way these guys package this stuff is in such a way that nobody can ever get into it. But we'll get there. Like everything else. Just got to keep on doing it till you get it right. So that's the one. Oh, get out. So why is it? It's actually got bloody plastic is a retainer as well. That's weird, eh? So you can't get it out unless you really want to get it out. Never had to do that. This one aside. That is so weird. How the hell is this inside of another bloody? The whole thing is in a sheath. I'm going to use a sharp knife twice. Let's see. Do this without piercing myself. Hey. Amazing. There you go. After all of that, why did they do that? Why do they seal it inside of a packet, inside of another packet, in such a way that you need a bloody university degree to disassemble it? In fact, maybe that's what they're trying to do, is to test all the university degrees to see if people can take shit out of the packets. It's not really funny or fun, because you could end up hacking a limb off while you're actually trying to get to the bloody battery to protect your eyes. just done the same shit again. I find it hard to believe that this thing is double sealed inside of this packet. My oh my oh my. Right. Let's try again. There we go. We've got 2 batteries. They go in foot first. Like that. Let's push the first one down. And then push the second one down. Easy as that, you're telling me. Let's see. There you go. Battery. There you go. And switched on. Easy as that. Just put the cover back on. And we'll be ready to rock and roll. This thing has been incredibly useful when I was welding underneath this little band, and especially trying to get your head inside of the wheel arches. That's more of a challenge than most places because I've got a big head, but also trying to get in there with a regular welding visor. A bit of a pain, to say the least. There you go. Oops. Let's try some. I think these little screwdrivers came out of a Christmas cracker 20 years or 10 years ago. So that can get packed away, this can get packed away, that's going to get packed away. My ear plugs can stay there, these can go into recycling. Let's see if we can reassemble this thing. Because I know there was some clipping that happened. That's in. Don't tell me it's that easy. Job done. Clipped in. Yep, use my hand to wipe inside, outside. I'll wipe those lenses with a cloth. But we're ready to rock and roll. Go back to welding. Go make up some parts. In fact, yeah, I've got to make up another part now. So cut some steel, shape it, make it work. Do some welding. 10 to 4 on a Friday afternoon. Rightio, another piece made. Took most of the paint off it, just in the back of the rust cleaned up a bit. That's the hole that it's got to go into, but there's all sorts of curves. So there is a curve that naturally was on that piece of metal. So basically, that's probably my starting point, is there. And then you can follow this curve to that point. Then I've got to bend it down to create a downward curve to join there. But when you look at the length, obviously I've got to cut some of it away, about an inch. But before I do that, first thing is to shape it, to get that curve to curve down and join that section. But at the same time, I then have to bend this section right back to follow that curve. That curve, once that's welded down at the top there, that curve has to follow all of that. So you've got that whole recess. This has to fall and fit into first, once you've got that down there. And then it'll join here, but I might end up cutting some of that away. Run that edge, seal it in up to there, cut that section away, and then join basically the bottom of that where the orange stops and the top of this paper. I end up cutting it. We'll see. It's a bit of a noisy thing. And then obviously down into that corner, I've created a corner, but that's way too much material. So yeah, it's still as hot as hell. It's about 85 degrees in the shade Fahrenheit, and that's about 30. It was 32 earlier on, which is 90 in the shade where I'm sitting. So yeah, it's a bit hot today, and some humidity as well. But we'll carry on. We'll carry on. If I can make this piece tonight, I can weld it tomorrow morning. I'm not sure if I'm going to be in the mood for welding, but that'll kind of mean that this whole one side has been done. Obviously you can see where I went in at the back there. There's a second skin that went up and joins the back here. Yeah, there's lots of single, double and triple skins. Luckily no foreskins. But we'll get to it bit by bit. It's shaping. You can see that came out really nicely. I'm pleased with that. And once there's a bit of this bed liner, seam sealer on these seams, bed liner over the top of it just to give it a texture, you'll still see where the welds were and where the panels were let in. But it should be good. Fingers crossed as always. There's still holes in the floor to repair. There's holes there. That one's halfway rusted out. The one on the other side is completely rusted out. This floor is loose. That whole back of the floor there, you can see, has dropped from that to quite a bit. But I should be able to clean that, maybe cut out a bit of the rust and weld in some plate, and then bring it back up and come in from underneath and spot weld it into a couple of spots. You can see there were spot welds before. You can actually see them, but they've obviously rusted away or torn away over time, with people, including myself, climbing in and out the back repeatedly. So yeah, time to bash some metal. It's going to take a while because there's so many curves that you have to try and address out of the same piece of metal rather than patching 3 or 4 pieces together. It's an adventure apparently. Well, this is as good as it's going to get. I'll just see if I can hold that there. Once I've welded, I'll start at the top. Once I've welded and stitched a couple of places down there, bit of force, this is important, this whole curve, then go down all the way down there, and then this last bit, although it's got quite a significant bulge in it right now, you can see, I will then use one of my hammers to shape it even further, because right now the more you shape, and I'm only using a hammer and a dolly and a piece of railway line, the more you shape in one direction it pulls in another direction. And yes, you can work it back and forth, work it back and forth repeatedly, but sometimes getting lazy is the easy way, and sometimes the easy way is the right way. I think for what I'm doing here, that is good. It follows all the contours and profiles. That would have been easier if I did it in 2 or 3 pieces, but once I start tacking it down and pushing it and forcing it into position, that should be good. Don't care what anyone else says. I challenge anyone to go and do this shit and build it themselves, because the critics always have a lot of criticism and advice to give, but you don't see them actually do anything. So fingers crossed that somebody likes what I'm doing. Well, just like that, it's another Friday night. It's been a good week. Been making up metal bits, welding, grinding, fabricating, doing all the stuff you expect when you're trying to do some stupid restoration. It's good. And you just look at that picture. How nice is that? Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, do all those good things if you don't mind. Especially the subscribing, it helps. I'm still trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. I guess the next stop will be 10,000 subscribers. I can't ever imagine ever striking 100,000. That's just not part of my reality. But yeah, thanks for watching. Good night.